welcome back. I'm Steph, and this is Because Why Not? So I know most of my videos so far have been all about this machine here and the food that I do with it, my dehydrator. This is a NutriChef 6-tray dehydrator. I'm using it a little bit today, but I'm also going to show you a different way to preserve part of food. So we're going to be doing some dehydrated and salt cured eggs. So I'm going to dehydrate the whites, the egg whites. Big disclaimer. They say egg whites should not be dehydrated at home for long-term storage. I will not be storing these for long term. I will use them in the next month or so, and vacuum sealings in Mylar, or they might get put into jars later, but not for long-term storage. Great for camping. Do a batch up just before you go. But again, not for long-term storage. If you feel this is safe for you to do at home, great, go ahead and do it. If you don't feel safe doing this, don't do it. And if you do it, don't blame me. There's thousands of other videos of people doing just this. Well, doing the dehydrating, salt curing of egg yolks has been done for centuries. So just thought I'd get that out of the way right away. Anything you see here, if you decide to, in any of my videos, if you decide to do it at home, that's all on you. So, what I've got here is 30 eggs just picked up from the grocery store, a nice big flat. I don't think we're going to do all of these today. I don't know. We'll see. Just regular eggs from the supermarket. I do hope to one day get my own, well, probably not my own chickens. They're a bit of work, but find a supply of fresh, somebody's backyard chickens that I can get eggs from. But anyways, so salt curing eggs, or salt curing egg yolks, is really very simple. The hardest part is right here. Watch. Cracking your egg and separating it from the white without breaking it. If you break it, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, but they do turn out much better if you don't break it. This one broke. And we'll try and get as much of this egg yolk out of my whites. I'm not making a meringue. A tiny bit of egg yolk in my whites is not the end of the world. And as long as we can get this egg yolk to kind of stay in a little spot, again, not the end of the world. I dumped some a couple weeks ago, and I think they turned out okay. I haven't actually tasted them yet, but I started to process them. So yeah, that is it. You take your eggs. See if I can do better on this one. I'm usually really good at separating eggs. And I've tried those, things you see on Pinterest and TikTok with the water bottle or whatnot. So this one worked out nice. Nice, round, perfect little yolk. If you can get that, bang on. If not, still usable. You don't have to trash it. So again, we'll do a few of these. And you want to leave a little bit of space in between each egg If you've cracked your yolk, you need a little bit more space, but a little bit of space between them, kind of like putting cookies on a cookie sheet, but very gently. So you've put the eggs in a bed of salt, and then they don't really say what type of salt to use. The last time I just used kosher table salt in my little experiment here I did with about 6 eggs. This time I happened to grab coarse salt, so we'll see if this works the same. And you just want to cover gently all the way around. Oops. Oh well. Don't cry over spilt salt, huh? Alright. So I just want to make sure that they're all completely covered. Especially that that one that broke. It's pretty good. Did a dozen, only broke 1 yolk, and no shells in the whites. That I call a total win. All right. And then I'll put this in the fridge upstairs. I've marked it for today's date, February 12th. And I'm going to come back and check on these in 3 weeks. The last ones I did 2 weeks, and we'll check how they did in just a moment. But I think they could have used a little longer. But right now, I'm going to put for 3 weeks, and we'll see how that goes. Just leaving them on the shelf down below the table until we get ready for that part. Put this on the side. So I have some water here. It looks a little murky because I've already pulled some of my salt cured yolks out of the salt that I had done. I had done them on February 3rd. They said they were ready on the 17th. It's now the 20th. So a couple extra days. So when you're ready to use your eggs, they can stay in the salt for weeks, months, I don't know, maybe even years. But if you're ready to use your yolk, let's see if I can find one. Here we go. Kind of stabbed it. Find it in your salt. The salt ends up getting like a wet sand consistency because the salt is absorbing all the moisture from that egg. So here it is coming just out of the salt. So it's covered with salt, and this area here you can see it's a little whoopy. It's like jelly almost. So I'm just gonna put it in this little bowl of water, and got a little like butter knife. I'm gonna help just scrape off the thicker areas of salt. Salt is good for salt curing, preserving. It's not good for the body to have too much salt. That little white thingy from the egg, we don't really need that. This one looks pretty good. So now we have this little jelly salt or egg disc. It's kind of translucent, but we have a cured egg yolk. You can leave these on the counter or just on a piece of paper towel, but I've got the dehydrator here, so I will put them in here for a few minutes. I'm not going to turn it on right now because it's really noisy. Another thing I did earlier before this started, I put together a mix of some of my dehydrated goodies from the shelf. So I put together some shell pasta, some mixed vegetables, and a chicken cream sauce powder that I have. This is one of the egg yolks that I first took out of the salt, and it's been sitting in the dehydrator for a little bit, maybe about 20 minutes. So compared to that last one, it's firmed up. It's still sort of jelly-like, or kind of like a soft cheese. And that's what a lot of people can compare this to. It's almost like a vegan, or not a vegan cheese, vegetarian cheese. It's not vegan. So one of the best ways that people use, you can just, bite it and eat it. Okay, that outside is still salty. Oh, really salty. So maybe I wouldn't suggest that. Unless you've really gotten all the salt off. I think I still have some salt on there. But good thing I haven't added any salt to my lunch yet. So the other thing to do is you take a grater. I just have this little rasp grater. And nope. You're supposed to be able to grate it like cheese. Nope, that's not great. Well, maybe if I take my knife, wipe off the extra salt. See, everything doesn't have to go the way it's supposed to. Just trying to get rid of as much of that salt as possible. Okay. Now let's try some of the inside. Again, it's kind of jelly-like. It does taste kind of cheesy. It's sort of jelly-like, but it's creamy. So, just like if you have an egg that is cooked over medium, I think that is, where it's not totally runny, but it's not hard and gone like dry, light yellow, orangey, depending on whether you're using farm fresh eggs or store-bought eggs. But yeah, but it tastes good. It adds a nice little fat component, and that's why I didn't dehydrate them like you would normally, or like I will with the egg whites, because there is so much fat in the egg white or egg yolk. That's where all the fat is. It's the food for the chick, right? And so egg yolks don't dehydrate well. And that is one reason why they say not to dehydrate eggs, is because of the fat content in the yolk, but also usually don't dehydrate at a high enough level, or high enough temperature to kill salmonella. So that's why the fresher the eggs, the better. But as you can see, I've got some of the egg right there. Mm. Yes, it adds a nice little creamy, almost cheesy texture, and it's quite lovely. So I'm going to put this aside for a sec. Finish eating my lunch later. Welcome back. It's the next morning. Remember when I left off, I put all of our egg yolks into the dehydrator just for a little bit. I only kept it on for a couple of hours to help dry it out a bit, and it was turned off overnight. If you look here, so this is now more of what we're looking at. The green is just leftover spinach that was on the tray. I didn't wash it first. It's okay, just try to finish. So this is exactly what we want. It's still almost translucent, but not quite. Still kind of a jelly feel, but much firmer and drier. So I think pulling it out of the salt right away, it still had the moisture from the salt at the edges, plus putting it in the water to rinse the salt off, it was just too wet. So you could even just leave it out on a paper towel overnight and they will firm up. And now look at that. We get that nice grated cheese, even little curls. And that looks good. So we've got, it's nice and fluffy like fresh grated cheese. And yeah, it tastes like cheese. It really does taste like a grated cheddar almost, or no, grated cheese. So that worked well. I was just jumping ahead of myself a little bit yesterday and trying to use it right away. It needs that time to just firm up. We've got our cured egg yolk, which actually really worked. Again, it just needs some time to set up after being dipped in the water. So don't forget to like, subscribe. Find me on Facebook, Instagram. But very soon I won't have to move this table out from this back wall. I'm going to be getting a new appliance this coming week that's going to be here, and I'll have another table set up in front of it with lots more exciting and wonderful things to try. I also want to try and do up some other crafty videos on things that have absolutely nothing to do with food. We've been in lockdown, quarantine a lot lately, so staying inside and working with food has been one of my go-to items, because my boyfriend and I, my partner and I, we like to wander the summer, be out off-grid, backwoods, crownland camping. So that is why I'm into all this dehydrated food, because when you're out for a week, finding ice and dealing with ice is pain. I find a pain in the butt. So if I can be self-sufficient with my food supply without having to rely on coolers and ice or a plug-in car fridge, the better. So again, Steph, and yeah, that's it for today.